You know, in many ways, I feel like Deborah's like a police officer in real life that just has to sit in super long stakeouts in cars watching the world go by until eventually the crime occurs and they have something to do. So yes, hello everybody. Bonus episode today. Deborah is returning to the Cursed Shore and is going to be dealing with the final two cathedrals, the final two citadels, temples, that being the Temple of Melandru and the as yet totally unseen Cathedral of Grenth down here. On a totally different island, separate from the Orion mainland. This is always kind of a curious thing to me. There's not really any lore or world building and stuff that talks about its function as a totally separate island, but there's some cool stuff to do with the oceans and things, and obviously plenty more god laws, so it should be really fun. Right now, you'll see we're back at Gravbjorn's. Here's an NPC we never spoke to here. The only one. With these docks in our control, we'll start seeing reinforcements shipped here through that oily sea. We can't allow these docks to be lost no matter what it takes. So there's the oily sea. And again, like, look across the horizon there, right? What I want you guys to imagine is that currently on the map, we're standing here, looking across this, and that this island is so far away. You know, we got it's like the channel, right? The between France and the UK. You kind of look out, and you know on a map it looks close, but it's just sea as far as the eye can see, right? I think there is actually one tiny place where maybe on a really clear day you can see France from the UK, but in general you can't, even though it looks like a tiny spit of water on the world map. Well, that's the situation I want us all to think about with it all here. Anyway, so yeah, Deborah's going to be dealing with that. Right now, the temple is fine, so we'll wait to see what Zaitan's next move is with it. But while we have a little bit of peace and quiet, I did want to take a second. Let's hang out near these beds, I guess. Can you imagine sleeping here? Ugh. I did want to take a second to pick up our final specialization line. So having learned what she experienced last time, now Deborah can unlock the true full potential of the Guardian class by picking up her third spec. We obviously have a lot of utility skills and things that we can deal with over time. But for now, we've got a choice. So we want to go Zeal, which is kind of one of the damagey lines. Do we want to go Radiance, which is also kind of one of the damagey lines? Or do we want to go Valor, which is kind of one of the defensey lines? So you might be interested in Valor, and certainly a lot of people do run this, and at launch, like this Grandmaster trait here, Altruistic Healing. Heal yourself whenever you grant a boon to an ally. That's a cool idea for like a tanky Guardian, isn't it? Because you can splash a billion boons out and just keep resustaining. These days, it's not so exciting. We'll maybe look at Altruistic Healing later on in the game. But what I'm actually going to pick up here is Radiance, and for a bit of a weird reason. So let's pick it up. We'll dig all the way in and see what we've got. So we are going to be a Honor, Radiance, I like it in this slot, and then Virtue's the bottom line to do with our F skills. So Honor and Radiance. Well, let's look at the minors for Radiance. First of all, we gain a light aura and we blind nearby foes whenever we hit Virtue of Justice. So here you'll see a trait that's augmenting our Virtue, even though it's not in the Virtues line. That can happen, and so this is actually really kind of nice. If I press F1 now, you'll see Deborah starts glowing. We get this effect. When struck, we gain retaliation, and conditions on us run out quicker. So that's giving us light aura now, which is pretty fun. And also, it's a bit of blind, which you can think of blind as strong as Aegis in a lot of ways. You know, it means that an attack that could do 10,000 damage does none, because it misses a lot of the time. Obviously, against bosses with break bars, blind doesn't do that, but hey. So yeah, you've got the first minor. Next is this super good one, Renewed Justice. Our Virtue of Justice is renewed whenever we kill a foe. So what does renew mean? That's a kind of a phrase we haven't seen on any of the other classes. Basically, it means it fully cools down, okay? So what happens now if you pick up this line is as you kill Risen, you can, let's say we're in a massive wave of Risen coming towards us, and we hit them all with our staff. Here, I'll show you by killing this pirate over here. Every single time one of them dies, and we get experience for one of them dying, our F1 is going to cool down. So we can kind of spam the F1, right? So I'm going to press F1 here. We give ourselves Light Aura. We give ourselves Might. We give ourselves Retaliation. We burn. He dies, and now we can press F1 again, and we've got it back. And if we have a huge wave of mobs just constantly charging us, what it means is we can spam this, and we basically become like a pulsing, might-generating, blinding field of light, right? And that's super cool to me. So that means as a support, we can actually start buffing people's damage quite a lot as well as we keep splashing this out over and over and over and over again. So that's one thing I like. The final minor is attacks against burning foes have an increased chance to crit. And because we get our F1 so much more, which inflicts burning, they kind of all work together. So you'll see Radiance is kind of like a damagey line. It's about the F1 in a big way. And, you know, you could combine that with Permeating Wrath Grand Master from Virtues and really go crazy with the F1. So, yeah, you got that. But now let's look at why we're doing it on a support build. We've got a couple of minors we can pick. First of all, I'm going to take Healer's Retribution, which is just more retaliation when I use a heal skill. For me, not everyone else, but just for me. So now when I use Receive the Light, you'll see we get retail on us at the end. And the retail actually lasts a long time. It's 10 seconds. So that's nice, just a small bonus. Here we get some interesting options. I'm actually going to pick the top one here, which is called Wrath of Justice. And this is striking an enemy with Virtue of Justice's damaging effect casts Lesser Signet of Wrath. So basically, once again, we're dealing with the F1, and now we can immobilize with it. And immobilize means that enemies we fight won't be dodging or, you know, getting out of AoEs and stuff. And we refresh this very frequently. This trait itself has a 25-second cooldown on it, so you can't spam immob like mad, but it's still pretty good. And then finally, the real reason I want this line, okay, is for the Grandmaster. I'm going to pick up this Grandmaster here, Perfect Inscriptions. So this is our Signet turbocharger. It's at a Grandmaster level. Let's read it. Signets gain reduced recharge. So we can resurrect people quicker now if we choose to use the active, and we can full heal people more regularly if we choose to use the active. But going on, the better bit is our passive effects are improved, and when we activate our signets, those passives go to our allies. So there's kind of a lot to talk about here. First of all, the passives are just stronger, so that on its own is awesome, right? What it means is Signet of Mercy is now giving us...
The Pact could use your help.
I know it could. What it means is that Signet of Mercy is now giving us even more healing power, yeah, than it was before, which just helps everything. But it also means that Signet of Courage is now passively healing more than it was. You can see, without the trait here, let's turn it off, we're healing for 400 every second. With the trait, well, not every second, every time it ticks. With the trait, that goes up to 551, yeah? So, you know, we just made that a lot stronger immediately. And then that compounds with this signet here. But then here's the really weird bit, right? This is a passive that's ticking heals around me all the time. Now, when I activate it, I full heal everyone, but I give them signets of their own for 10 seconds. So now they're... Look, here you go. You can see it. Now they're ticking damage out. Look at this. And you can do that on 5 people. So you, like, activate it, immediately fully healing everyone, and then times by 5 the passive effect. It's crazy. Super fun in open world. And what that means, right, is we should only be able to heal 5 people around us. But when we activate the signet... it's each of our 5 allies can heal 5 people around us. So you can go up to, like, potentially 25 people you're healing all at once. Of course, then you do have to deal with the fact that you don't have the passive for the rest of the cooldown. And, you know, that could be a dangerous consequence. So you only want to activate it in really dangerous scenarios. But it's a lot of pulse healing if you've got lots of AoE. And it's something you can do out in open world like this. So, as well, looking back at the traits, remember this? We picked up just a second ago, Wrath of Justice. Whenever we press F1, we cast a Lesser Signet, which immobes. Well, that's a Signet, guys. Lesser Signet of Wrath. So, let's look at our utility skills, right? We unlocked Signets last time. This is the normal Signet of Wrath, okay? It has a passive and an active. The passive is grants you increased condition damage, and the active is immobilize your target. Well, the lesser Signet of Wrath, which comes from this trait, is the same. What does that mean? It means if I stand next to this Whisper's agent, let's pull a Risen Pirate over, right? Okay, come on, Mr. Pirate. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F1, and then I'm going to hit the pirate, which will trigger Lesser Signet of Wrath. And when I trigger my Lesser Signet of Wrath, it will share the Lesser Signet of Wrath. It will give this guy a signet. So look, basically now whenever we press F1, or quite regularly when we press F1, we give people Signets of Wrath, meaning they do more condition damage. And we give them Might at the same time. And that condition damage we share goes over the cap of Might and everything, right? So we're actually sharing lots of Signets out together, and that's a really cool combo that you can play with right here on this line. A lot of people, when they buy expansions, just they don't go 3 core lines like this. They'll use this bottom slot for something crazy. But I'm demonstrating here, really, if you run this combo, this is actually a pretty potent Zerg healer without even needing really to use any expansion-oriented stuff. Obviously, you can be very good with that stuff too, but I wanted to show it off with Deborah, and that's what we're going to be doing as we go up. So there you have it. Just got to wait for the Melandru temple to do something interesting, and I'll see you guys for that when we're ready. Time to sit down, Debs. It's going to take a while. Actually, we don't need to make her sit on the floor. She can just sit in the chair. Here you go. Whew, the waiting game begins.
We've held the docks and preserved a chance for victory in these forsaken lands.
So, as you can see here, the meta's about to begin. We have Gravbjorn's Landing being occupied by the Orions. Now, this is actually quite interesting in that it can occur that the cathedral is clean and clear, but Gravbjorn's is fallen anyway, and in that situation, the meta description won't actually update to talk about Gravbjorn's. It will continue just to say, oh, the temple's fine. Essentially saying that the Pact care more about the temple than they do about people here at the docks. But with this description, I'm pretty sure this means the meta is going to begin, so let's climb down and deal with the Orions that Zaitan has thrown into this place, including these spiders and plague bearers and all kinds of nasty stuff. Deborah should be fine. Look, we got a player here who hopefully will help kill things. We can keep them healed up, and they can just do the damage. All right, it's clear. That was not an easy affair whatsoever. Everybody's just rolled on in, and you'll see now that the meta is described as... Oh, we had some loot here. The Pact are building up strength at Gravbjorn's Landing. We'll just wait and see what some of them say as we move on.
You there. The Pact could use your help.
Oh, I'm aware. Oh, here we go. Oh my god, we fell in a hole. Whoa, and there's water in this hole. Deborah, get out of the hole. What is this? Okay, there we go. Oh, man, they didn't even have any dialogue. What? They were out right near the side. The Pact are moving to the first ship beacon. I thought we were going to have a defense. Everybody's just patrolled out. I don't think we're missing any dialogue here. They just started moving. They're headed to the temple. So here they are. War Master, we got Magita Ismek, who we spoke to at the docks before.
Draw your blades! Risen incoming!
One's knowledge cannot go beyond one's experience.
Oh, they are indeed. They say, if we can light these beacons, we can guide our reinforcements to the temple. And we said, don't worry, before getting pulled away by a spider. Once again, Deborah is actually alone at the start of this, so hopefully we can just keep everyone alive. I mean, that's definitely not going to be a problem. And hopefully we can buff them up with enough might now that we've got Radiance on too, by spamming our F1 and lots of blinds that we can actually get some good damage in. Like there, for example, I didn't do much. The NPCs did most of that, which is nice. You'll notice here, as we're near these Dwayna's temples, and Dwayna isn't captured right now, we're under the effects of Dwayna's Lament, which is that healing effects are reduced. Don't want to spend too long on the meta near that.
Risen, defend yourselves.
All right, we got more Risen here. Brilliant. Oh, please don't attack that Drake. No, why? Come on. He's not even a part of the event. He's just in the area. Oh, my God, they're going crazy. Oh, we got a player. Nice. So there's a warrior here with lots of signets. I like this. He's a warrior with lots of signets, and I can give him more signets. Look at all of his active effects, ready? Should we give him every signet we have? All right, there's our F1. Here's this one. And now let's give him this one. If he moves out of range, we won't give it to him. Yeah, look at all of his signets. That's awesome. Jesus, so many active effects. Look, he's pulsing heals as he runs away now. Nice.
Smell that? Here they come!
Oh, I smell it. I can't stop smelling it. In fact, okay, so here's a question I have on my mind. Maybe some of you guys know. Obviously, we get used to horrible smells, right? So, you know, you're a teenager, you're playing Halo for hours and hours and hours, you've just been to the chippy and everyone starts stinking, right? And no one can smell it or realize it's that bad until someone leaves the room and comes back, yeah? Is that a universal truth? Is that true even for, like, the most foul, like, obscene, horrible, like, you know, like skunk smell and stuff like that? Is that true? Can we get used to anything? It is kind of a function of the human brain to just acclimate to stuff, right? But I wonder if there is an upper limit. Anyway, there you go. So we're at the first signal. Nice. This is a great event for farming, by the way. Great, because just so many mobs end up coming.
Excellent. One down, one to go.
Let's just hope the waves don't push the boats ashore before they arrive.
On to the next beacon. Excelsior!
Nice. I really like this. This is like an extension of the lighthouse story to an extent. With one beacon down and one more to go, our reinforcements will be on their way in soon. Okay, we'll reckon the relief once we complete this challenge. So let's keep giving everyone swiftness and moving up. I think my warrior friend has left again.
Eyes open and blades sharp. The Risen are here.
Jesus, Ismek's just running away from his allies. They're all back there, and they're not going to come anymore because he's just charged off. Good job, Ismek. And by good job, I mean terrible job. So here we go. We're getting a glimpse at the cathedral now, which we've not really seen this temple. We've been very near it. We've been under it. No, we kind of did see it with the searing and stuff. Kind of. But we've not, like, been properly up to the plateau. We ended up going down and under it, right? And there was that mysterious corridor. And Neck and Desert. Here, another commander's arrived. This is the White Commander.
More Risen? This is becoming tiresome.
That's a cool line because, you know, so many meta events down in the last map of the game. I'm sure a lot of players eventually feel that way. Well, maybe. In the other sense, they probably love having tons of Risen because it means that we can, you know, get so much loot. So here, the mobs are dying so fast I can't even tag them, which means I don't get experience, which means I don't get to refresh my F1. The old version of Staff, before it went through its big revamp, before I got to show you it on this series, the auto attack used to be a cone that you just splash out in front of yourself with this massive obnoxious light beam over and over and over again, and it was really good for tagging stuff. So you used to find tons of Guardians on Staffs back then. Now the devs have changed it to make the Staff a little bit more in line with the rest of the weapon skills in the game, which was a healthy decision in my opinion. Oh my god. Okay, so do you remember how the rest of his squadron was caught way back here? And now they're dying. Ismek has gone to help them. Oh, he ran all the way. I knew I should have stayed and helped them out. Jesus. All right, we've got to revive all these people. Oh, look, he's a nice guy. Look, he came back deliberately to revive them. Does this mean we're going to have an extra wave to deal with? Oh, God, they just teleported now.
This
Oh,
looks
my
to be
God.
Unpleasant.
Did you see that on the minimap there, how fast he moved? Oh, God, we got to rush. These other players can ride their noble steeds and get there. We're going to be trudging along in the back here. All right, it's a gorilla. And a big one as well, veteran.
I have visual on the second beacon.
Oh, finally, here we are. Here it is. This mysterious device on the ground. Look, we erect a packed banner and everything. How cool is that?
There, beacons are alight. Now we just need to retain this position until...
Wait. Do you hear that?
Oh, marvelous, more Risen. Hold these shores or our reinforcements will march right into a trap.
Take them out.
I like that. There was a Drake sneaking up on me and some guy sniped it. So this is a really good event for tons of mobs. If you get a lot of players here, the waves of Risen that assault you become absurd. So here you can see there's a group charging in. There's a group here already. They just got absolutely annihilated by our players. So yeah, you want to be really quick off the mark and try and like tag as much as you can. Because the loot that comes flooding in is like, look at this, it's insane. It's kind of funny how Melandru, more than any of the other temples, I feel actually kind of has this sense of billions of mobs. I don't know, Balthazar sort of does too. And Grenth is a whole other story we'll get to by the end of the video.
You can count on me.
So you get Drake spawning in the water. That's a nice touch. And yeah, this event is actually just to defend here for 5 straight minutes. So I won't show you all of it. Deborah will grind away at this though. However, what I do want to say, an interesting mechanic, in terms of if you get enough players here that spawn enough Risen, there's an interesting mechanic in Guild Wars 2, which is that any given small area of the world can only support having so many bodies of enemies in it. So you see how this A-bomb's leaving a body here? Eventually they'll despawn visually, but the game is actually kind of keeping a record of how many things have died here. And so if you scale this up to like obscene levels, you can actually get it to points where the devs didn't even like really anticipate. And what it means is that eventually, here we got a steel chest. Okay, cool, some putrid essence. Eventually, you can kill so many things so quickly, so early in the event, that the rest of the event you're just kind of standing around because no new Risen are allowed to spawn because there are so many bodies nearby. That can actually happen here. We probably won't see it, but it's a fun, weird mechanic that means that the rest of this is just kind of standing. It's like you win early, if you will. And that can happen pretty much anywhere in the whole game. It's just it used to happen a lot in Ore because that's where players ended up spend a lot of time after the first couple of months. So 1 minute left here as I get finger strain from slamming my F1 so much. I must have cast this hundreds of times here. What I'd love to be able to do is to set it up as an auto attack so it just insta-procs. But you can only do that for weapon skills, not profession skills. So yeah, one other thing I'd like to say about this. You guys might think it's a little bit uninspired design, having, you know, like you got to defend a landing for 5 minutes or whatever. But it's actually really clever what an event like this does, because in a minute we'll be up at the temple itself, and there's going to be a really big epic boss fight, and it gets more epic the more players that are around. So it's actually really smart having an event like this preceding the conclusion, because it gives all the players on the Cursed Shore 5 whole minutes to see that something's going on. All they have to do is stand anywhere near here. They'll see the meta event and they'll all get together. And it's kind of an opportunity for everyone to gather before the big fight. But it's not like we're formally gathering or waiting around to have fun or anything. It's just a natural consequence of the dynamic event system. And I've always admired that. So there we go. Last couple. Reinforcements are inbound. And our inventory just filled up. Hold on, I can deposit though. Oof. We filled our whole inventory with that. I cleared out before the start of this video. Seriously. Hello, friends from the chopper. Our beacons lead you the way in this dark, gloomy night.
Did your forces take the scenic route getting here?
Navigating here can be a mite difficult.
Might? Is that a snide jab at my height?
Stand down. Had I jabbed at you, you would feel it. You did well securing this location. Now leave the rest to us. You've earned what rest this forsaken land can afford you.
Much appreciated. I'll make sure to keep my break short.
For you fresh troops, we have to take that temple.
Their corrupted god statues continue to menace our forces. If we're going to push to Ara, we need to take them out.
Well said. Now who's with us? Let's get this done.
I wonder what Deborah of the Vigil, any member of the Vigil finding themselves this deep in packed operations, thinks about the dynamic between like Lightbringers talking to Priory Arcanists and
We are
stuff.
the knife in the darkness.
Take down those Risen.
Anyway, she says, keep alert, the Risen won't leave their temple undefended. Just another stepping stone. So yeah, you know, you kind of got the main assault force towards Ara, but these side objectives to take the temples. I always love it when dialogue is very explicit about that fact. And yeah, you know, the Promenade of the Gods, okay, as the gates to Ara, as it suggests, is a real place worshipping the gods, with a lot of statues to the gods there. So, if we try and bomb in and take the gates of Ara without getting any of these temples, all those statues lying in waiting will serve to hinder us. In fact, let me show you on the world map here. Look at this. Look at all these statues, right? Some of them we've got, some of them are contested.
Risen?
Vigilance, honor, duty above all.
So it's really clever how it all hooks in the end, and you know the packed forces that take their time to do all these side objectives
No relenting. Our allies need us to take this temple.
have an easier route at the very end of the road. There we go as we climb up. Oh my god, that's a huge wave. Me running up here, I'm not actually here trying to tag. I'm trying to make sure that my ally that came all the way up is not going to die. Oh, it's so bad. And look, so you notice in this area, these jungly areas with Melandru, you find a lot of like gorillas and things, right? As a part of this big meta. You don't tend to find that at any of the other sections. Tend to. Some of the time you
Is
do.
there no end to the Risen?
I don't think so.
No relenting. Our allies need us to take this temple.
So here you'll notice that there are some primordial orchids. And we can try and harvest them. And you'll see that we get some weird materials. Fire, orchid, blossoms, and ruined logs from Deborah here. Well, I guess we'll learn about why these are here a little bit later. But there's some fertile soil as well. This soil is sandy and harsh. Only something deeply connected to Melandru could actually grow here.
There. We've secured the center of the temple.
We'll need a few moments to begin the disabling process.
Wait. Do you smell that? Something foul is coming.
You will suffer as on land.
Oof, Jesus Christ. All right, so here you go, the legendary risen priest of Melandru this time, and he's looking directly at us. That terrifies me. Let's break his break bar. This guy is a monster. He rampages around lots of high CC and big, like, he almost feels very warrior-y. You'll notice he's actually using Guardian hammer animations. Our friend just got one shot there. So let's see what we can do. As we fight him, waves of spiders and things will actually attack as well at the same time, and abominations that come up the sides. So you've got to be careful of that. Look at all of our friends who are dying. I'm not healing very well, am I,
Lay
guys?
down your weapon. Submit to my master.
Let's try and just revive as much as we can. I've got to stay in close with everyone. Oh my god, the screen shake! It's a cool idea for a big boss at Melandru. I think that it should have been a risen gorilla or something, you know, as the actual final thing. But they've all been priests. Ow! Luckily, Deborah can sustain this stuff. Just hopefully other people don't struggle.
On the will of Zaitan.
Here we go. Shall we pop our signet active? It's hard to know when the right time to do it is. Once this break bar ends, we'll do it. Okay, you guys ready? I'm going to use... Ah, there you go. That's a good time. Oh my god, so many people went down. Popping it now. This is going to give... a ton of signets to everyone around us, and they should all start pulsing around. Oh, God, more screen shake. Ow! As long as we're at 100% health, every time he does that, I'm fine. But we need to get back up to 100% health. Oh, my God, another break bar. Stay away. Oh, yeah, we can dodge and heal, so we could do that on people. Oh, we're getting ground down a bit, but he's getting low.
What was that creature?
Long ago, it must have been this temple's high priest. Zaitan's corruption raised it as a horror.
Let's hope it was alone, and get to work shutting down this temple.
Nice. I'm going to loot his body here. Check it out.
Over already?
We get a steel chest.
It seems quiet for the moment. Let me set up the interruptor.
Do it quickly. We may not have much time before more undead show up.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
The battery's dead. It's going to take several minutes to recharge.
Right on cue. Here come more of our risen friends. Defend the interrupter with your lives.
So this is nice. At all of the other ones, this bit where we set up the interrupter and create those domes to break their influence, that's just happened, right? But at Melandru, that's actually a part of the story.
Approaching.
And it's a part of the event. Here we get a hero challenge. To her worshippers, Melandru was a source of comfort for weary travelers. Now, her temple offers little solace. In fact, her temple is probably the most dilapidated of them all. Perhaps a good metaphor for the state of Tyria in general, right? So let's commune with this. And so here's the bit with the spiders that I was talking about. Basically, over here, Risen are going to attack up the two main stairways, and we've got to defend the temple from them. There's a wave of spiders first, then we get other creatures, and then more waves of spiders come later as well, I think. This one's actually a champion and is extremely dangerous, so I'm going to get right in the thick of this with everyone and make sure we're all nice and healthy. But as we fight here, we have to be careful of the other assault from the other angle. So we've got to try and clear this out nice and quickly. I'm just going to spam all my virtues here, to be honest. Someone's giving us Alacrity right now, which is reducing our cooldowns. So it feels pretty good to just use the abilities right off cooldown. So we can get as much value out of that Alacrity as possible. Here you go. So look, another spider's just arrived.
Keep them away from the interrupter.
And once again, we get another 5-minute defense here to try and hold the temple. So here you'll notice, by the way, a cool mechanic in Aura I'm not sure I've talked about yet. But because we're doing a high-scaled event, and lots of Risen are arriving, you'll notice that this Risen Acolyte, just a random enemy that I've targeted here,
Risen approaching.
is level 83. Our max level is 80, but the game does hint at going higher. Guild Wars 1 did this as well, where the level cap was 20, and occasionally you'd find things that were stronger, even going up to as high as like 33 or 34 in some occasions. But yeah, it happens in Guild Wars 2 here as well. And that actually is a mechanic to think about, because as they level higher than us, our chance to hit glancing blows on them and their chance to critically hit us and stuff starts going up, making them stronger, even more than just the attributes they get over level 80. And funnily enough, in the very early days of Guild Wars 2, there were hints at items for people getting to level 85 and level 90 and stuff, like transmutations, charges and things. But that's obviously never become a thing, and the devs have stuck to their guns. Level 80 is max level, and will probably be forever in this MMO. But you do see enemies sometimes getting a bit higher, and here in Aur's a great example of your first time seeing it. Oh god, we're getting hit really hard. I'm trying to do inventory management. Here you'll just see that the items are flooding in. We're at that point in the MMO where you can really start earning a buck, right? And yeah, it's a bit of a shame because Deborah's inventory isn't actually that big. Maybe at this point I would start crafting higher level bags and things and start looking at stuff like that so that I can really start getting more money and maybe look into legendaries and whatnot. Here you go. So look, we've got a level 82 A-bomb that's scaled by the event. He could be super dangerous. Luckily, we managed his charge. He got caught in this little hole here. And he hasn't managed to build any frenzy at all. Not landed a single hit. Good. That's keeping the blind and stuff out. That actually wasn't our blind. Oh, hey, get away from the thing. There you go. Nice shield 5 there on those risen raptors. Yeah, and so look, all the different kind of things we find, they're all like naturey. They're like spiders and raptors and A-bombs. They're all creatures, right? Fauna. It's very fitting for Melandru that that's what they go with. Oh my god, they've got behind us again. Get away. 7 seconds left. 6, 5. Oh, push them off. Get away from it. It's pretty healthy, thankfully.
Next time, remember to charge the battery in advance.
Everything worked out fine. Let's just focus on keeping our device operational.
Just how fragile is this contraption?
Well, I wouldn't advise touching it or anything.
We cannot afford fear.
Oof, so there you go. We disconnect it. Now, if we look at the Promenade of the Gods, Several of the other statues have now been deactivated, and it would be nice and safe for an attack on Ara, which you'll see is actually contested here. So, according to the world map.
Wild welcome you.
So, what do we get for loot and stuff? As long as we make sure the statue in this temple stays idle, our assault on Ara will be over before it starts. Aren't all statues idle? This statue was emanating energy to the smaller god statues throughout Or, animating them to attack our forces. What can we do to stop them? Well, our Asura friends brought along a gizmo that blocks whatever energy or magic the statue emits. How does it work? They call the thing an etheric interrupter. I don't know how it works. I only care that it does.
Good hunting.
Very naughty of you. So yeah, we get packed medal of accommodations here. We get an opportunity to buy more stuff, more wine. Each time, by the way, so just so that it's clear, each Karma vendor at each of the temples, you know, like there's the Armageddon set, the Aurora set, and the Rubicon set. That's skin-wise, but each time the stats you get is different. Maybe from one of the temples you can get exotic clerics. Maybe another one of the temple you can get exotic berserkers, exotic rampagers, exotic cavaliers. Not every single stat set in the game is covered by the various vendors, but, you know, a variety. So cool. We also get this guy, Historian Gerald. I feel like I recognize you, but he's just a merchant here. There's some peculiar diving goggles out into some murky-ass waters behind the statue. That does not look inviting whatsoever. And what about that last NPC? The Asura that was with us. Did they just, like, walk off, I guess, already? I suppose they might have. Oh, no, here we go. Yeah, they did, I think. It was an order agent. Oh, look, there's some loot here from one final spider. Cool. So, that's the Cathedral of Melandru. That's that temple. There's one final one, not even on the Orient mainland. That's the Grenth one. Let's head over there now. We're going to be starting from Medlars and headed south. So there it is. There's the island. And you'll notice that there is another lighthouse, another beam of light shining up into the sky there. That is actually a part of one of the dynamic events. And we're going to be looking into what's going on there very soon. But the meta, right now the Pact are in control, the meta actually technically, I think, starts at this dock very close to us. In fact, we have a scout who will probably tell us all about it. Let's go up and speak to them. So, what have you got?
Beyond the shipyard lies Graven Cay, home of the ancient temple of Grenth. The abandoned temples of the human gods now serve Zaitan, channeling the dragon's power to corrupted statues all across Or. If we can retake this temple, we'll neutralize the corrupted Grenth statues now threatening our invasion force.
Seems good to me. Let's head across over to the second island and find a dock and somewhere that will actually be safe. Because let me tell you, very few places here are safe. And in fact, it's pouring of rain over here as well. That's great, isn't it? Huh. Alright, so the waiting game is kind of beginning a bit more. You'll notice that I've positioned myself just across from the scout now. We're at this dock, which is where things will start. I do want to note, however, that in order to get to this point where the meta now says the Pact are preparing an assault on the Temple of Grenth is actually really hard. This is a beautiful meta. It's much cooler than the other temples, in my opinion, and you're going to see I've got a load of reasons why. A lot of the other temples are like linear progressions, right? This one, however, is actually a war of like backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. So to get it to reset all the way back is kind of really challenging. I managed to luck out here and basically dissuaded anyone from doing anything near any of the various stages. And yeah, it's very hard to fail some of these events. Like the NPCs can almost solo most of them. But we got it to a place where the whole thing's reset and you guys can get the full adventure. Now what we're going to do is just wait for the Pact and Trahearne to give the signal for a full attack on the island of Graven Cay. All right, here we go. They just airdropped in. Woo! All right.
Okay, you know the drill. Find our way to Death's Gaze torch and secure the drop zone. Once we're reinforced, I lead our troops to take and cleanse the Cathedral of Silence.
Now that we're actually here on the island, I'm sure this is gonna work.
You were the one that found that ritual and volunteered us for this lunacy. Can't back out now.
We're done. This island won't hold us. Let's kick some bony Orient butt.
Man, it's Jonas. I love this guy, Jonas. So, what do they say? Glad to have some backup. We may be in a bit over our heads here. This plan seemed a lot more feasible back at headquarters than it does here on the front.
Stay together. I want to see us all reach the torch together.
Funny how that happens. What's the plan exactly? We're trying to reach the lighthouse, where we'll be reinforced by airship before we storm the temple to the south. What then? Well, then our scholar friend found us a ritual to cleanse the Cathedral of Silence. Doesn't that sound familiar, guys? If it works, this island will belong to the Pact. Do you think the ritual will work? Well, I just hope we're all alive long enough to find out. So same kind of thing that Traherne just tried to do to all of Ore, maybe. So yeah, okay. And then we got Jones himself, who is the Char Necromancer leading this. This is going to work. It has to. What's your mission here on the island? The first step is we have to make it to that Orient Lighthouse in one piece. What then? Once we're there, we need to clear a drop zone for our reinforcements coming by airship. Then what? Well, Ambrose taught me an ancient ritual that I plan to use to cleanse the Orient Temple. Can you teach me? There's no time now. Focus on keeping us alive and we'll handle that end. So Ambrose is the human that was with them, is with them over here. Oh my god, he's getting really low. Careful, dude. And so he knows a little bit about cleansing this place. I feel like the devs went to a lot more effort with the Grenth one. Just because, like, it's...
Want me to grab your stuff, buddy? They're really loaded.
Take care of your own load. I can handle myself.
Just because, you know, it's the Temple of Death, and we're dealing with the Elder Dragon of Death, and, you know, it feels like it should have that extra little bit there. So anyway, yeah, let's cast some skills and get these guys away. You see, I've actually changed my elite here to feel my wrath. This gives my allies quickness and fury. The reason I actually swapped that off is because I had the Signet on before, which was pulsing heals, and I was trying to get events to fail. I'm going to swap it back now here, so let's put the Signet back with all the cool traits and things. I want to really speak to Ambrose, but he keeps getting in combat, so it's kind of difficult. You'll notice as we progress through, we are getting sieged by these enormous risen claws. Look at them. They're actually basically trebbing us. The skill effects are actually broken in the game now, and they don't do anything, which is a real shame. But it's kind of cool, that sense that we're getting trebbed as we move forward looking for this crazy lighthouse. As soon as this Tar Elemental's dead, I'm going to try and press F on him as soon as possible. Here we go. This mission may have been my worst idea ever. You planned this mission? I discovered a powerful ritual that I was sure would make it easy to cleanse the island of the Risen. You aren't so sure now? Proposing the mission back at Fort Trinity was one thing, but executing it in this nightmarish place is another. What were you planning to do with your ritual discovery? If we can make it to the Cathedral of Silence in one piece, we can use my ritual to cleanse it of the Risen. Are you sure? If you're sure the ritual will work, why the worry? Well, proposing it back at Fort Trinity, blah, blah, blah. So then he just kind of loops here. Look at all this loot we're getting immediately right now. So yeah, you'll notice here that there is a corrupted statue of Melandru here, which we can only really get the hero challenge if the temple itself is active. The remnants of a once great power can be felt at the base of this statue. And I'm not really going to be able to get that because we're getting hit by horrible entangling roots nearby. Since while waiting for this, the pack lost control of the other cathedral.
Why? What's wrong?
Yeah, what's the holdup? We're sitting ducks out here.
Those giant claws are going to tear our reinforcements apart when they get here. We need a way to keep those clear, or we'll never get our temple assault off the ground.
So, we're at Death's Gauge Torch, sort of.
I've teased out one of Ambrose's tricks that might come in handy here.
Or the event to get there. This is interesting, actually. The escort is to get to Death's Gauge Torch, and it ends early. We're not actually at the torch yet. That's kind of cool. I haven't seen them do that anywhere else. But yeah, so we hatch a new plan now to build this cannon. The pack to build in defensive measurements to continue their assault on the Temple of Grenth. So, basically, from now on, once we build this cannon, as events fail, we just get pushed back and back and back to this cannon. And this is the thing that once it's built, it's really hard for the Risen to break again, and is, you know, very likely that players will defend it. So yeah, once we construct this, we'll actually like build some territory and some progress. It's kind of like a mini invasion of Ore goes on purely on this island. And, you know, the logic of how these NPCs move, right? As the events push, they push further up. You know, we find Jones all the way out there on the island at first, but later you're going to find he's deep in the cathedral, and we like try and keep him here for hours or even days of real time, you know? So it can feel really special to have these NPCs in, so to speak, weird areas, right? I just think the dynamic events are executed so perfectly at this temple. So anyway, we're going to build the cannon. There's not going to be much to say. Let's do it. She says, if you cover me, I'll get my cannon up in no time. Then the pack siege on the Orient Temple can begin. Why is that temple so important? Some force in the Cathedral of Silence has roused all the Grenth statues around Ore to attack our troops. And how's your team going to stop them? Well, our scholar discovered a cleansing ritual that our team leader plans to take to the heart of the Cathedral of Silence.
No one's going to get skewered by the Risen if this works.
I just need to get this cannon finished. When it's ready, it will clear this area of these Risen claws. And why this area in particular? Well, the pack reinforcements are coming via airship, and my cannon will keep the airspace clear for them. What's to stop the Risen from taking the gun? Well, I've picked up enough of our scholar's magic to shield it. That should help it keep it safe and working. But that question, what stops them from taking it? Yeah, essentially later it can fall. Oh no, the doggy died. Bowen, let's res him with Signet of Mercy here. And as I cast it, I'm going to stand near these others so that they all gain the passive Signet of Mercy and heal themselves better afterwards as well. Now, another reason why this cannon very rarely falls once you've got it built is because Ambrose, as a ranger, has a skill where if his pet ever dies, he heals himself and instantly revives the pet. He kind of has like a Guild Wars 1 comfort animal skill, essentially. And that means that when the Risen try and break the cannon, instead of hitting the cannon, they hit the pet, and then the pet gets auto-rezzed, so they never hit the cannon.
Got it! Those Risen can kiss my shiny, shielded cat.
Really were paying attention to my shielding research. I'm touched.
Just don't touch my cannon. The power source still isn't very stable. You'd better get going.
Wait, not coming?
I need to stay and nurse this thing. You two, push on ahead.
She knows what she's doing, Ambrose. Be safe. You have that shielding ritual of yours ready?
I think so. How are we going to do this?
No problem. You take point. I've got your back.
Fine. Let's just get this over with.
So here we go. The Pact are attempting to secure the lighthouse, and we move on, and you leave 30 behind. Finally, ironically, maybe, if everything goes to put and we lose all of our territory, these two will actually be the last ones alive for that reason. I wonder what she says as we move off here. Oh, she's the ranger, sorry, not Ambrose. She's the ranger. These guys better not die on me. Which guys? Dead Run from our strike team is securing the temple. How's the drop zone being secured? Well, he's using his shielding magic to hold the lighthouse drop zone. I've borrowed a little bit of it to shield my cannon here. Okay, can I help them? And they say, I'm sure they'll appreciate backup. So we're going to move on and stick with the team. Good luck, you guys. And yeah, that cannon will actually now break the claws. You can actually see they do periodically get blown up when it fires at them. And the area, like, opens up a bit more. It's really nice. So, moving back to the original objective, which is to go to Death's Gaze. Look at this. We get these Risen Knights. Oh, I got so many memories of this, guys. Like, I've seen this event massively scaled before, where this wave of knights is just these ridiculous, huge hordes of them. It can be absolutely nuts. I'm a necromancer, and still the stink of this place sickens me. My own fur reeks of decay and rot. Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. So, yes, the cathedral is actually up there. You can see that that's a giant statue. I mean, think about Malkor building those. It's kind of nuts, right? I guess more people built them after Malkor was gone, just in his original likeness. But it's like slumped to the side. So we heard the description that this place was half shrouded in mists. I mean, there's magic and craziness everywhere, but again, as far as I see, I don't quite see it truly being half shrouded in mists, but hey. So we're going to come up. This is Death's Gaze here. It's this lighthouse with this beam, and we need to claim this for ourselves. So we'll actually turn around and take a slight little detour here. The way in the cathedral is up that road. We need to capture this with that knight that's defending it and those curious eggs. Ambrose says, we've come this far. It's just a little bit further to the lighthouse. What happens when we reach it? I'm going to use a shielding ritual I've researched to secure the area for our reinforcements coming in by airship. And if we actually look up, you can see airships up there. I think one of them will probably fly down to us and provide those reinforcements. I know that an airship will arrive. I just don't know if it's specifically one of those two. I guess we'll watch very closely in a second.
This is going to be a problem.
Is this another plea to go back to the chopper?
Those energy pods around the base of the torch are feeding off its energies. I need that power for my shielding.
Problem. Do your ritual, and I'll tear off those pods. They seem harmless.
Okay. Well, they're just calling them energy pods. I described them as egg sacs before. Well, let's see. So,
be careful around these things. Almost there. Surging out of that thing?
and, well, yes, they are. They're eggs. It seems, or there's knights inside of them? I don't know. Is this how the knights are created?
We did it. Airspace cleared for reinforcements.
And so the actual idea of the event is you're meant to kill all the mobs before the final pod. But hey, there you go. So he's casting his ritual and creating another shield. So we've now set up two. We've got a cannon over there defended by a shield like this. And we got this. And here you go. Look, the airship comes in.
Okay, listen up. You all know the reason. That we need to take that temple. The bottom line is, for this to work, to cleanse the temple, you'll need one very important thing. Me. Just get me there and I'll handle the ritual. Let's do this right, people. For the Pact! Fall in, people. Defensive formation. Let's get there alive.
Oh, we got so many cool things to talk about here. First of all, that airship is tiny. Was it one of the two? Oh, I think it was. Look, because there's only one in the sky now. That's so cool. It's a tiny airship, technically. I really like that they use an airship, though, because most other places in the game, they just use choppers to move things in and out. Well, here they use a full-on airship, and if we walk really far away now, like right all the way back to that dock, you'll see the airship there, and you see it fly off when everything fails. It's really nice. But yeah, so we get these extra allies. Now, our allies, if they die on the way up, they're permadead, I'm pretty sure. We're now kind of in the actual leg of the Temple Assault now.
Keeping our path clear will help us in the long run.
Go ahead.
Don't let the enemy slip in behind you.
So here's why I've done this a ton. Back in the day, when we get into the temple, you're going to see we've got enemies to fight. And I've told you about lodestone farming in the past. Well, one variety of lodestone, the icy corrupted lodestones, you can get from enemies during this meta event. So what I used to do with an old guy I met, a thief, I have no idea if he still plays the game. We're talking years ago now. We used to come here on thieves, and we would kill billions of those creatures that could drop lodestones and not actually try to beat the temple. We'd just kill those creatures. We'd do it as long as possible, and then deliberately have Jones's assault fail, which would cause Jones to run away, come back here, and then you'd defend it, and he'd try and attack again. And we would just keep it balanced like that, never fully taking the temple, just letting him fail, come here, and then go back in, and let it fail, come here, go back in.
We're not cubs running war games in the Farrar. This is as real as it gets.
And every time we would just farm the hell out of this item, trying to get as many lodestones as possible. So it was always one of those weird things that the devs clearly didn't intend, because we kind of didn't want the whole temple to get taken, and if other players came around, it was kind of awkward. But yeah, for that reason, I've done this cathedral way more than most players probably would ever admit to having done. In fact, the first time I ever really got money in this game and built my first legendary was from farming this. I farmed this, got some crazy Halloween skins, then I sold those Halloween skins months later for crazy amounts of money and built my first ever legendary, the Incinerator, the legendary dagger. It was all from this, doing this with Jonas. But yeah, so he says, I'm sure those soldiers are competent, but I'd feel better storming the temple with my old teammates Ambrose and Footy. These pack soldiers do seem to know what they're doing. So yeah, Ambrose is going to get left there. Footy is left back in the other area.
This place stinks of death and rot. Wait, does that mean I smell like death too? Now I'm in a rotten mood.
So he's in a rotten mood while stinking to death. So we're inside, guys. Look, it's slumped into the wall. There's a really creepy area over there. Filled with wraiths and dangerous stuff. There is a hero challenge if you dare to go that direction. We're going to stick with Dead Run here, though, and make sure that he doesn't die and he can actually attack through. And as we crawl through this creepy area in the complex, we'll find the big boss. So I love this cathedral as well, in that you actually get to go inside this one. You get to see the stuff. And look at the areas we're in, guys. The Cathedral of Silence. We just got the waypoint of Murdered Dreams. Murdered Dreams. Oh, the poetry. It's very, very, very thrilling to me. So yeah, we'll keep going on in.
Take a good look, people. That freak used to be the high priest of this temple. A lot of good his gods did him in the end. Now we have to end him. As long as that monster is still undead, we can't cleanse this temple. Finish it, and we can finish our mission.
So, this is actually a really hard fight with a ton of mechanics, okay? So first of all, you've got random mobs in the area. Second of all, you've got the boss who does damage and spawns these ice elementals. These are the things I used to farm. You could tag them, and they die very quickly, so you'd like play a thief and bounce short bow attacks through the area, and you just basically try and farm the ice elementals. He also has these ice spikes, which are basically one-shots if you stand under them, so you've got to be careful of that. Now, here's another mechanic. You'll notice I have corruption on me, which reduces all my outgoing damage and outgoing condition damage towards the priest himself. So, he keeps stacking corruption. To cleanse the corruption, you need to come to the sides. Here, I'm going to start res this guy with Signet of Mercy and walk into these pools here. When you go into a pool, you will become transported to Grenth's domain, and corruption accumulates faster, but it allows us to attack these extra mobs that are in the area called shades. So the idea is these shades do absurd, like, one-shot damage. You need some players to jump into these black inky pools to join, like, the mist halfway, right? And we're allowed to kill shades, which are like the ghosts in the area.
Don't mind us, we're just here to do a little temple cleaning.
While the other players are fighting Grenth. So by merging with the mists here, what that means is I do basically no damage to the boss. but I can help cleanse out these shades that keep building up and up and up and up and up. It's a really intricate fight that back in the day was genuinely really challenging, and you had to spread players out and teach them how it worked, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. So here, I'll keep the shades away, in theory, and my elementalist friend here can kill the boss. And I'll try and keep him healed up as best as possible. It's quite hard because I don't really have much damage, so I am actually not very good at taking the shades out. As long as my guy can stay alive, we'll be fine. And as long as I can heal the NPCs so that they take aggro from the shades instead of me, that's also fine. But here you'll see I've got 25 stacks of corruption on me right now. It means I do basically no damage, and you know, I'm relying on other people here. I just got to keep the heals going and keep this one other player with me alive. You'll see him here. You'll see he actually merged with the Mitts too, which was a bad idea. But he's done good damage, and the priest is about to go down. So we did it. Nice.
The air feels cleaner in here already. Now comes the hard part. For me, at least. This is where I perform my ritual to sever this temple's link with the corrupted statues all over. I need complete focus to get this ritual right. Any distractions won't be good for any of us. Now, how did Ambrose say this thing starts out? Think, Jones.
Oh, he's called Jones, I guess. So,
Shadows.
now we get one final event where we have to defend him. If you're farming this was where you deliberately get him killed and the whole thing would reset. Also, by the way, he stays on the stairs, but he can get killed in that event a second ago against the boss, and you can aggro mobs over to him to kill him early, and again, that will reset it. If you know, back in the day, we used to think, oh, if players are going to push the temple, we would, like, get him killed early, which is just such a gross thing, I openly admit. But it was all about the money, guys, and it was all about getting crazy lodestone farm. Hold on, so there's a steel chest. Is my inventory full and I can't collect this? All right, here we go. Let's deposit that. So the priest is defeated, and all we got to do is cleanse it. You'll notice here as well that in the other ones we're using Asura devices to cleanse, but that doesn't seem viable or possible at Grenth's temple. Don't know why, but that's the situation here, and we have to use this whole ritual. That char looks really cool. Damn, I've never seen a char that looks that badass. So yeah, that's our goal. You got this locked door here. Of course, this is actually where Caraflower will be heading very soon.
I'm counting on you to cover me so I can concentrate on this ritual.
And so in the open world, we won't get to explore every aspect, but we get a good start. So he says, not now. Can't you see I'm trying to concentrate on this ritual? And we get a defense. So we've got to go 6 minutes now this time. Cover Keeper Jones dead run as he performs the cleansing ritual. Enemies will spawn in the center, they'll spawn on the left, and they'll spawn on the right. There's going to be huge waves of spiders in particular is one of the big things here. And yeah, we got to try and just cleave it out. This, if it succeeds, will allow us to fully capture the area. If it fails, they get pushed back to Death's Torch, and then if they can't defend Death's Torch, they get pushed back to the cannon. If they can't defend the cannon, which is really easy, they get knocked all the way off and the helicopter starts now. But now that we've managed to get Jonas all the way in here, I can guarantee you, until there's like some kind of build for the game and everything resets, they'll probably be lingering around the temple forever now. So it feels pretty good, as always, to be Deborah alone at the start of a meta, and now you get, look, loads of players are here, and we actually do something major. This, once again, will unlock a safer route through the Promenade of the Gods. So this is an event, by the way, that Deborah can probably really comfortably carry, because Jones isn't a structure or anything. We can just straight up heal him, and we have so much healing, especially with like all of our stacks here, that even if he's getting really swarmed, we can probably hide somewhere or climb on something and just keep throwing the heals as best as possible. Oh, look at this. There's a champion Wraith in the event right towards the end. If there was anywhere better to have a big, badass Wraith, and I mean this is a huge Wraith, it's going to be the Cathedral of Silence. I like how it's called the Cathedral of Silence as well, by the way, because silence is really like what typifies the gods more than anything else right now. There's so much stuff that like points to Grenth being such a cool like god within the context of Guild Wars 2's story, you know. So there you just saw I spammed my F1 so fast that we got 25 might and a billion different boons. Right, just a few more seconds. They're breaking quite close. There's another wave coming as well. F1, 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 F1.
Feel Zaitan's influence over those Grenth statues being severed. This cathedral is silent again. Let's keep it that way, people.
Yeah, look, the whole color in here changes. Jones, you succeeded. What a god. And check it out. You can see that Arcanist Xanth here is wandering on in now. Hello there. How are you doing? He says, there's a trick to these spectral weapons. They're not risen. They're just infused with magic. If I could just deduce how it works. There you go. So he's talking about what we have been. What do you mean? They seem to be animated in much the same fashion as our golems. Those similarities might be key to my fashioning a device to disrupt them. Let's do it. Well, we have an assurance saying, slow and steady wins the race to unravel the secrets resolving the enigma. My device still needs work, but when it's functional, you'll be more than welcome to tag along. All right, I may just take you up on your generous offer to tag along. I think there he's kind of hinting at an event that I'm not sure I really remember. Anyway, look at this giant chest we get at the end.
Precedes you.
And we've got all these NPCs now and different things going on. So let's salvage down here again. And grab this to actually get everything out of the chest. Very nice. And deposit again. And here you get a statue of Grenth. A paean to the god of death and ice. Rotting bits of flesh and sinew. Left as offerings by human necromancers hoping for whatever powers the deity might bestow. Litter the base of the monument. Alright, we can commune with this place of power now. There's also an Order of Whispers member here looking right at the statue. Ends. Take a good look. What you see here hasn't been seen in over 200 years. Well, not by any living thing, and not exactly like this. What is this place? This is the legendary altar of murdered dreams. It's been underwater for 250 years. Hence the barnacles, general dank smell, and overall disarray. Wow, what used to go on here? This was Or's temple to their death god, Grenth, before it went to the bottom of the Sea of Sorrows along with the rest of this continent. Who came here? Ritualists, water elementalists, assassins, and necromancers would congregate here to perform their rituals to seek the favors of their patron god. Rough crowd, but devoted. This is awesome, right? This is actually Guild Wars 1 profession lore that they're delivering here. I wonder why none of the other cathedrals have an equivalent NPC talking like this. Rough crowd, but devoted. So, now that it's been cleansed, what will happen to it? Also, you notice how he says assassins here? That's more of a Canthan thing. But here we hear about them. Probably it will be restored to its original purpose. Grenth still has his fans. Besides, and you know, we've actually seen multiple times throughout the series priestesses and whatnot of Grenth. Besides, what else would it be good for? Not many people want to live in a formal temple to the god of death and ice. What would the Char do with this place if they stake a claim to Or? Altar of Murdered Dreams is kind of a grim name, isn't it? Grenth's temples tended toward the grim, but you can't name shrines to the god of death after flowers and bunnies. Grim architecture, too. Helps the necromancers relax and enjoy their rituals. What this reminds me, guys, is of on Character Create, when you click, like, to play as a necromancer, you get that, like, that really eerie background showing potions and chains and cages and bones swinging around. It's so immersive, and this just reminds me of that and, you know, the necromantic lifestyle. I was just a little poking around on myself, thanks. Makes me think of the necromancer Draethor in Kryta as well, and I'm sure Deborah can have that in mind. So, then Jones, he becomes the Karma Merchant. This place sure has a lot of bones. Maybe I could start collecting skulls. Think there's a market for that? It's funny he says that, actually, because the skull environmental item does spawn in this room, and you can pick it up during the event to fear mobs next to Jones to guarantee it fails. We had all these techniques for how to deal with that. Anyway, think there's a market, what, for skulls? Is that what you came here for? Skulls? No, I have far more important work. I'm maintaining an arcane symbol that's going to save the world. I have to keep it functioning. I just get bored, and my mind wanders. What does it do? Well, when I triggered it, which was no small task, I severed this temple's connection with other Grenth statues across Or. Oh, and the ritual should also keep the Risen out of it. Listen to this. This is like the ritual, maybe? I love the way that this is worded as well, so that any other player who didn't help with the initial meta event can get the backstory of this area. And you will have noticed that a ton of times throughout the Orient arc. What's the connection between this temple and the other Grenth statues? Well, Zaitan was working through his risen priest here in this temple to rouse Grenth statues across Or to attack our troops. This was the priest's base of operations. Sounds like you did some good work here, soldier. So, yeah, there you go. Beautiful stuff. That's how we claim this. It should be clear and open for anyone else or of any other purpose who may like to come to the area. And if we look once again at this mysterious promenade of the gods, which we've still never really even seen or unfogged, you'll notice every single statue now is cleansed for us. Free of Zaitan's influence, the statues lie dormant. So a tiny bit of trivia here. You'll notice that this is a Grenth statue, which we would have just turned off. But this one's a Dwayna one, this one's a Lissa one, this one's Melandru. Again, under the original world structuring, you literally would have had to have had, across all three maps, all the stuff done. And they would have actually been properly paired with the actual state of the metas. But now that it's mega servers, what's actually happening is the top row is disabled by Melandru. and the bottom row is at wholemeal disabled by Grenth. And that's the way the curse shore actually works now. But nonetheless, we have it all clear, guys. That's every major meta in or done, except the final one, which begins over here at Meddler's Waypoint, called literally the Gates of Ara. Next time we see Deborah, she'll be going for the final one to take the gates. So we'll see you for that one very soon, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you tomorrow.